Finally, round one of the NHL playoffs is over. There wasn't one Game 7. And I'm just like, it's just so tough to see the Maple Leafs go out that way. They had the 1-goal lead going in oh my goodness, in the third period they had the 1-goal lead with that crazy bounce right to Austin Matthews, and when it went to overtime, you could kind of just tell that it was over for the Leafs, man. Like, it felt just like it did when they choked that lead to Boston a couple years ago in the overtime. They could not get the puck out. They couldn't generate any scoring chances in overtime. But literally, they cannot hang their heads. What a season. They weren't supposed to be good, and they gave the best team in the NHL a run for their money in the playoffs, and probably what was the best series of the playoffs, arguably. 5 out of the 6 games went to overtime, which is just crazy. So I guess we'll start off talking about this series. Unbelievable hockey series. This is what you watch playoff hockey for. It's just so exciting. The Leafs fans are just some of the best fans in the NHL. You know, I was really rooting for them, but they just weren't able to pull it out. And it sucks, but, you know, what can you do? Unbelievable. I can't believe, at least, like, I didn't think they were going to do that good. I definitely thought that they might get swept, but they showed a lot of fight. You know, Washington, they took them in 6 games. You know, this could have went either way, this series. The Leafs, overtime in the first game, double overtime in the second game, overtime in the third game, a 5-4 win for Washington in the fourth game, 2-1 win for Washington in overtime in Game 5, and in Game 6, a 2-1 overtime win for Washington again. Unbelievable series. You know, Austin Matthews showed why he is going to be the leader of this team for many years to come. The great number 1 first pick by them. Unbelievable series. I'm just really disappointed. At least one, I was really rooting for them. But in my prediction video, I did take the Caps to win this. But, you know, I was really hoping I would have been wrong, but I guess not. So now I guess we'll move on to the Columbus-Pittsburgh series. I thought this was going to be way closer. I actually took, I think in my predictions I took Columbus. But they actually lost this series 4-1. Which sucks because, you know, it sucks for Columbus because they're in such a good division, you know, with Pittsburgh and Washington, that they would have been a 1 seed in many of the other divisions. So that kind of sucks for them. They play such a good team in the first round, but they lost 4-1 in this series. The first game, a 3-1 win for Pittsburgh. Game 2, a 4-1 win. Game 3, a 5-4 win in overtime. Game 4, Columbus avoided being swept with a 5-4 win. And Game 5, Pittsburgh closed it out with a 5-2 win. Not really much to say about this series. It wasn't too exciting. It was kind of one-sided the whole time. But now let's move on to the Ottawa-Boston series, which, another one I got wrong. I definitely didn't do good on my predictions at all. Ottawa took this in 6 games. Surprisingly, I thought the Bruins were going to be able to beat the Senators, but Ottawa showed a lot of fight and resiliency in this series. I didn't watch a lot of these games because I was watching other games, but Boston took Game 1 2-1. Ottawa won in overtime in Game 2 4-3. Again, 4-3 win in overtime in Game 3, and a 1-0 win in Game 4. And Boston actually won in double OT in Game 5 3-2, and in Game 6, Clark MacArthur with the goal to send the Senators to the second round with a 3-2 win for the Ottawa Senators in overtime in Game 6. So that's all I really have to say about this series. I didn't watch many of the games. And now let's move on to the Rangers-Habs series. Another one I got wrong. I think I took the Habs. But the Rangers won in 6 games. No Game 7s in the first round. Really weird. Usually you'll see a couple of Game 7s, but pretty quick first round. So New York won Game 1 2-0. Montreal won Game 2 4-3 in overtime. Let me just say, Radulov, great player. He is a superstar in the league. He played unbelievable in this playoff series. So that's one upside for Canadian fans. So yeah, 2-0 win for New York in Game 1. Montreal with a 4-3 overtime win in Game 2. Montreal with a 3-1 victory in Game 3. And then New York with a 2-1 victory in Game 4, a 3-2 overtime victory in Game 5, and in Game 6 they won the game 3-1 to eliminate the Habs. So that's the second Canadian team out of the playoffs, and that's it for the East first rounds. So the matchups are Pittsburgh, Washington, which is obviously going to be fun. In my video where it's what hockey fans wanted to see in the playoffs, I actually put in Crosby versus Ovechkin, so we're going to get to see that again. And the Senators Rangers should be a pretty good series too. I'm going to do my predictions after I'm done going over all the series. So let's move on to the Western Conference. St. Louis, Minnesota. I took Minnesota in this one, and they got beaten 5. So first game, St. Louis 2-1 victory in overtime. Second game, 2-1 victory in regulation. And the third game, 3-1 victory in regulation. And in Game 4, Minnesota with a 2-0 victory to avoid being swept. And I actually watched Game 5. What a game by the Wild. They definitely treated their fans to, great. Not giving up at all. They were down 3-1. They scored 2 goals to bring it to overtime. And they just weren't able to get it done in overtime. They're all over St. Louis in overtime. They just could not score a goal. And Jake Allen played great in the overtime. And that was just too much. Minnesota did not give up, but they just weren't able to beat the Blues in Game 5, and they were eliminated in 5 games. Next series, I watched a lot of these games. Edmonton, San Jose, another team that I'm pulling for now. The two teams I was pulling for in the playoffs since the Wings are out were the Leafs and Oilers, so Oilers are still in, which is great because they won the series in 6. First game, San Jose won in overtime 3-2. It's Game 2, Edmonton won 2-0. And Game 3, Edmonton won 1-0. And in Game 4, 7-0 for San Jose, which was embarrassing. And the Oilers definitely didn't like that. And in Game 5, 4-3 victory. David Desharnais with the overtime winner in that game. And he played great in that game. And in Game 6, a 3-1 Edmonton victory sent them to the second round. Next series, Anaheim-Calgary. I think I took Calgary in my predictions, which is pretty... In my predictions, I kind of did what I wanted to see. But, Calgary got swept pretty convincingly by Anaheim. They just couldn't really get any luck. All of them were 1-goal games, except Game 4 was a 2-goal game. Game 1, 3-2 win for Anaheim. Game 2, 3-2 win for Anaheim. Game 3, a 5-4 overtime victory for Anaheim. And in Game 4, 3-1 victory for Anaheim. So not really much to say about that series. It was cool to see the Flames in the playoffs, but they were swept. And now for the next sweep. Wow, I cannot believe this is probably the most surprising series out of all. The Nashville Predators swept the Chicago Blackhawks. So there goes one of my teams I picked to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. And wow, they just could not score a goal. They only scored 3 goals. 3 goals in the 4 games in the series. Game 1, a 1-0 win for Nashville. Pecorine, unbelievable. Game 2, a 5-0 convincing win for Nashville, And in Game 3, a 3-2 overtime win, and then a 4-1 win in Game 4. So they actually swept the Chicago Blackhawks, which is insane. So now let's get down to the predictions for the next round. Start with the East. Rangers, Senators. I gotta go with the Senators. I just like the momentum they're riding now. They're a great story this season. I hope they keep it up. Hopefully Lundqvist doesn't, bid too much for them to handle. But I do think Craig Anderson is actually underrated, and he is a great goaltender, and he's able to steal them games sometimes. And I think they have the offensive power and defense to win this series. So I'm gonna go with the Senators. I'm thinking this is gonna go 7 games. I'm gonna go Senators in 7. Next series, Capitals Penguins. Man, this is gonna be a tough one, but I just think the Penguins just look so strong in that series against Columbus, and Washington didn't look the strongest at times in their series. I'm actually gonna go Penguins, and I'm gonna say 5 games. Pittsburgh is gonna take Washington out, so I think the Eastern Conference Final will be the Senators and the Penguins, and in that I'm going to go with the Senators again to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. They're my dark horse. 7 games, I'll say. Let's move on to the West. the Chicago Blackhawks. Never mind, I'm just used to saying that. The Nashville Predators against the St. Louis Blues. I'm going Nashville, and I'm going to go 5 games. They're going to take them out rather easily, I think. Nashville going to the conference finals. Edmonton, Anaheim. I'm going to go with the Oilers in this one. I think it's going to go the distance to go 7 games, but I'm actually going to go with the Oilers to take that one. So, conference final, Preds, Oilers. I'm going to go Predators. I think this one could go the distance too in 7 games, so I got my Stanley Cup final as the Senators and the Predators. Man, who would have thought that before the playoffs? And I actually might go with the Predators to win the Stanley Cup, man. I think that's my prediction. Predators to win the Cup. Let me know what you guys thought about the first round down in the comment section below. Let me know who you think is going to win from here. These are just my predictions, just a couple of quick ones I just let go. I didn't really put too much thought behind it. I'm just guessing because all my predictions in my prediction video are pretty much screwed because I did pretty bad in that. So let me know what you guys thought down in the comment section. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot for 155 subscribers already. We just hit 100. Can't wait to hit 200. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.